Welcome back to AI Search Explained by Rank4AI. I'm Adam Parker, and I'm here with Jimmy Connoley. Today, we're tackling something that's been showing up consistently in our audits: businesses whose services are being perfectly described by AI systems, but their company name never gets mentioned. Jimmy, I'm seeing this pattern across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. The AI knows what these businesses do, it just doesn't know they exist. It's maddening for business owners. They'll come to us saying their competitor got mentioned in a ChatGPT response about their exact specialty, but they're nowhere to be seen. The AI's basically written their service description word for word, then recommended someone else entirely. Exactly. And what's fascinating for my research is that these AI systems are incredibly sophisticated at understanding business categories and services. They can describe a boutique HR consultancy specializing in tech startups in Manchester with perfect accuracy. But that description doesn't automatically connect to the actual boutique HR consultancies in Manchester. So what's the fundamental disconnect? Because traditional SEO thinking would say if you're ranking well for those terms, you'd show up. That's the structural gap I've been researching. These systems aren't just crawling and indexing like traditional search. They're building knowledge graphs, interconnected webs of entities, relationships, and attributes. If your business isn't established as a distinct entity in that graph, you're invisible, even when you're perfectly relevant. Right, but let's break that down for business owners. What does established as an entity actually mean in practice? Think of it like this. The AI needs to understand that Smith & Associates is not just words on a web page, but a specific business entity that provides specific services to specific people in specific locations. It needs structured, consistent information across multiple authoritative sources, which brings us back to the basics that a lot of businesses are missing. We did an audit last month for a consulting firm that had been operating for 15 years. Fantastic website, great content, but their Google business profile was incomplete, and their LinkedIn company page had a different business description than their website. Those inconsistencies are killer for AI interpretation. When I'm testing how different systems understand businesses, the ones with consistent entity information across Google, LinkedIn, industry directories, and their own website perform dramatically better. Perplexity especially seems to weight this consistency heavily. Let's get practical then. What's the first thing a business owner should check if they suspect they're in this situation? Search for your exact services plus your location in ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. Don't search for your business name. Search for what you do. If you're an accountancy firm in Birmingham, search for Accounting Services Birmingham or Tax Advisors Birmingham. See if you appear in any of the responses. And if you don't appear, that's your answer right there. The AI knows the service exists, knows the location, but doesn't connect that to your business. What's step 2? Entity establishment. Start with Google Business Profile. Complete every single field, not just the obvious ones: business hours, services, attributes, posts, Q&A section. Then make sure your LinkedIn company page mirrors that information exactly. Same business description, same service categories, same location data. I'm always surprised how many established businesses have skeletal LinkedIn company pages. They'll spend thousands on a website redesign, but leave their LinkedIn page with 3 lines of text from 2018. It's because they're thinking in old SEO terms. Optimize the website, build some backlinks, job done. But AI systems are looking at your entire digital entity footprint. That includes industry directories, professional associations, local business listings. Each consistent mention strengthens your entity signal. Speaking of industry directories, what's the selection criteria there? Because there are hundreds of potential directories for any given industry. Focus on authority over quantity. For UK businesses, that typically means Companies House data is correct and current, your relevant trade association memberships are listed, and you're in the key directories for your sector. Legal firms need to be in the Legal 500 or chambers. Accountants need ICAW or ACCA listings if applicable. Those sector-specific directories seem to carry more weight with AI systems than generic business directories, don't they? Significantly more. Claude and ChatGPT particularly seem to reference professional association data when making recommendations. I think it's because that information is typically more curated and reliable than open directory submissions. Now, what about content? Because I know business owners are thinking, surely my blog posts and case studies should help with this.
Content helps, but only if it's properly structured. The AI needs to understand that the content is about your business, not just topics in your industry. That means proper schema markup, clear authorship attribution, and consistent entity references throughout your content.
Schema markup. That's still a stumbling block for a lot of businesses. Are we talking about something they can implement themselves, or do they need technical help?
For basic entity markup, organization schema, local business schema, most modern websites can implement this through plugins or built-in tools. But for more complex schema around services, reviews, and content attribution, you'll likely need developer input. The investment is worth it, though. We're seeing clear correlation between proper schema implementation and AI system recognition.
Let's talk about reviews for a moment. I've noticed AI systems often mention review scores or customer feedback when recommending businesses. How does that factor into entity recognition?
Reviews are interesting because they're third-party validation of your entity's existence and quality. But it's not just about having reviews. It's about having them in places the AI systems access. Google reviews, obviously, but also industry-specific review platforms, Trustpilot for e-commerce businesses, Clutch for B2B services. And responding to those reviews probably helps establish entity authenticity as well. Definitely. When business owners respond to reviews consistently and professionally, it signals to AI systems that there's an active entity behind the business name. It's another data point that confirms you're a real operating business, rather than just a directory listing or dormant entity. What about social media presence? I know some business owners wonder if they need to be active on every platform. Quality over quantity applies here too. For most UK businesses, a well-maintained LinkedIn company page and Google business profile are more valuable than scattered, inconsistent presence across multiple platforms. The key is consistency in how you describe your business and services across whatever platforms you choose.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the knowledge graph concept. For a business owner who's trying to understand whether they're being recognized as an entity, are there ways to test this beyond just searching for their services? Try entity-specific searches. Search for your business name plus reviews, contact details, or services in different AI systems. If you're properly established as an entity, the AI should be able to provide specific information about your business, rather than just generic information about your industry. And if the AI says something like, "I don't have specific information about that company," that's a red flag.
Exactly. It means you exist in some data sources the AI has access to, but not with enough detail or consistency to be confident about providing specific information. That's often the stage right before proper entity recognition. You're on the radar, but not fully mapped.
How long does it typically take to go from not recognized to properly established entity if a business follows this advice? It varies by system and industry, but we're typically seeing initial recognition within 6 to 8 weeks of consistent entity establishment work. Google AI overviews tend to recognize entities faster, probably because they're more directly connected to Google's existing knowledge graph. Systems like Claude and Perplexity can take a bit longer. That's actually faster than I expected. What about businesses that have been operating for years but are just now focusing on this? Do they have any advantages? Yes, established businesses often have existing entity signals that just need to be cleaned up and made consistent. A business that's been trading for 10 years will have company's house data, probably some existing directory listings, maybe trade association membership. It's more about auditing and optimizing what exists rather than building from scratch. Which brings us to measurement. How should businesses track whether their entity establishment work is paying off? Regular AI search testing is essential. Create a monthly routine where you test your key service terms across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude. Track whether you start appearing in results, and if so, how you're being described. Also monitor your Google Business Profile insights for increases in discovery searches. And probably worth tracking competitor mentions too, seeing if you start appearing alongside businesses that were previously dominating those AI results.
Competitive intelligence is huge here. If your competitors are consistently mentioned in AI responses about your industry, study their entity footprint. Where are they listed? How do they describe their services? What review platforms are they active on? It's often a roadmap for what you need to implement.
Before we wrap up, let's address the elephant in the room. This sounds like a lot of work for something that might not directly generate leads tomorrow. How do we help business owners prioritize this against more immediate marketing activities?
I understand that concern, but AI search isn't a future consideration anymore. It's happening now. We're seeing businesses lose opportunities because potential customers are getting AI recommendations that don't include them. The businesses that establish proper entity recognition now are building sustainable competitive advantages.
Plus, a lot of this work, proper Google Business Profile, consistent business descriptions, industry directory listings, these benefit traditional SEO and direct search as well. It's not just about AI systems.
Exactly. Entity establishment is foundational digital marketing hygiene. Whether someone finds you through Google Search, an AI system, or a business directory, consistent entity information improves their experience and your credibility.
So if a business owner could only do 3 things after listening to this episode, what would they be?
First, test your current AI visibility by searching for your services in ChatGPT and Perplexity.
Second, audit your Google business profile and LinkedIn company page for completeness and consistency. Third, identify and update your key industry directory listings with consistent business information. Those 3 actions will establish the foundation for proper entity recognition. And if they want help with the more complex aspects, the schema markup, competitive analysis, or comprehensive entity audits, that's where we come in at Rank4AI. That's right. We're seeing this challenge across industries, from professional services to retail to manufacturing. The good news is that once you establish proper entity recognition, it tends to be self-reinforcing across AI systems. Thanks for listening to AI Search Explained. You can find more resources and case studies at rank4ai.co.uk, and we'll be back next week with another deep dive into how AI is changing search for UK businesses.